Here we have three same pivot tables, and each of them has the same slicer. The only difference is what value is selected in those slicers. Here we have selected first names, so this pivot table is sorted by first names. Here we have selected last names, so this pivot table is sorted by last names. And here we have selected points, so this table is sorted by this column in descending order. Now, how does this work? Well, first, if we right click here and we go to sort options, we will see that this first column is actually sorted by sort measure column in ascending order. So when we change the values in our slicer here, we are actually changing the values in this sort measure column. If I click on points, you can see it, and that as a consequence will have change of sorting order in this first column. For example, if I select first names, we can see that Akito is on the place 1, but when we select last names, he will be on the place 26. If we select points, he will be right here. Now, how to create this arrangement? Now, let's go to Power Pivot. Here we have our major table with only 2 columns, full name and points. And column points will be used to sort full names when we want to sort them by points. But we also need to sort full name column by last names and first names. And for that, we have one more helper table. And this table will decide with this column sorting order of full name column when we want to sort by first name. And we also have this column that will decide sorting order when we want to sort full name column by last name. Now these two tables, so data table and sort order tables, have to be related. So we go to diagram view, and here we can see that there is relation between these two tables, and cardinality of this relation is 1 to many. So that means that filter from data table will propagate to sort orders table. Beside those two tables, we also have this detached table. Let's go to data view. And here we can see that our detached table is only used to hold values that comprise our slicer. So this column will make our slicer. Now we need some logic behind all of this. So when we change something in our slicer, that has to change a formula that makes our sort measure, and as a consequence that will sort our full name column. Now let's see that measure. Now that measure is here. First, all selected function. All selected function will return as a column all the values that are selected in some slicer. So for example, if we select these two values, all selected will return column with those two cells. If we select all values, we will have column with 3 values, and so on. And then we ask whether this value, first name, belongs in that column. If it does, we will return true. If not, we will return false. And similarly is here. So we want to see whether some of these values are selected. So first names, last names, and points, whether they are selected. And then when we have those informations, we will use switch function to find the first variable that will return true. So if this variable will return true, then we will return values from first name order column. And that is this column here. If this variable is false and this variable is true, then we'll return values from this column. That column is this here. And at the end, if a user select points in slicer, we will return those values. Now those values are made by using values from this column, but we also have this transformation where we use 10,000 minus the values from this column. Now why do we need this transformation? Well, here we can see that values in this column are sorted in descending order, but in these two columns they are sorted in ascending order. In reality, we choose to sort this full name column by ascending order. So we have to transform these values in order to create some other values that when sorted in descending or ascending order, we'll actually sort this column in descending order. Now, how did we make this transformation? We just subtract 10,000 and value J2, and we got our transformation. So these values are actually ascending, but the values in this column will be descending because these values and these values are inversely correlated. We want to hide this column from the end user, so we will just hide the whole column. So this is how our final pivot table will look like. And there is one more thing. The user can select, for example, these two values, and here he can select these two values. Now, we made our measure in such a way that the first variable that returns true will decide the sorting order. So here, first names will be decide the sort order, and here, first names will also decide sort order, and that is why our first two pivot tables have the same sorting order.